Welcome back to Genesis. We're starting out with chapter 17 and we'll be going through to chapter 19. This is the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. When the men got up to leave, they looked over Sodom. Now Abraham was walking with them to see them on their way. And the Lord said, "Should I hide from Abraham what I'm about to do? After all, Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation. And all the nations on the earth will begin to pronounce blessings on one another using his name. I have chosen him so that he may command his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just. And then the Lord will give to Abraham what he has promised him." Imagine being Abraham and hearing God ask this. So the Lord said, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great that their sin is so blatant that I must go down and see if they are as wicked as the outcry suggests. If not, I want to know." I'm sure God said this for the sake of human ears. God already knows everything. But maybe seeing this firsthand on earth is different than knowing it. I don't know, but Abraham is horrified here. The two men turned toward Sodom, but Abraham was standing before the Lord. Abraham approached and said, "You will sweep away the godly along with the wicked? What if there are 50 godly people in the city? Will you really wipe it out and not spare the place for the sake of the 50 godly people who are in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing. To kill the godly and wicked, treating the godly and wicked alike? Far be it from you. You will not judge the whole earth to do what is right?" Many people ask about this innocent people who died in the flood or other instances of God's wrath. This answers it. So the Lord replied, "If I find in the city 50 godly people, I will spare the whole place for their sake." Then Abraham asked, "Since I have undertaken to speak to the Lord, although I'm but dust and ashes, what if there are 5 less than 50 godly people? Will you destroy the city because 5 are lacking?" He replied, "I will not destroy it if I find 45 there." Abraham spoke up again, "What if 40 are found there?" He replied, "I will not do it for the sake of 40. Then Abraham said, "May the Lord not be angry, so that I may speak. What if 30 are found there?" He replied, "I will not do it if I find 30 there." Abraham said, "Since I have undertaken to speak to the Lord, what if only 20 are found there?" He replied, "I will not destroy it for the sake of 20. Finally, Abraham said, "May the Lord not be angry, so that I may speak just once more. What if only 10 are found there?" God replied, "I will not destroy it for the sake of 10. Okay, so God had to be getting frustrated with this. Anyone who's got kids understands children do this all the time, and it's very irritating. But Abraham's heart was in the right place. It is not God's intention to destroy the innocent along with the guilty. That's actually the message all throughout Scripture. He wants to save those who he can. The Lord went on his way and finished speaking to Abraham, and then Abraham returned home. The 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening while Lot was sitting in the city's gateway. And when Lot saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. These men are angels, of course. Now, the Greek word that we get in English, the word angel, just means messenger. Like when you hire somebody to convey a message for you. Furthermore, this text was translated from Hebrew, not even Greek. Therefore, are these men spiritual beings or merely human? I'm not sure. But I would tend to believe they were the more spiritual being. He said, "Here, my lords, please turn aside to your servant's house. Stay the night and wash your feet. Then you can be on your way in the early morning." No, they replied. "We'll spend the night in the town square," but he urged them persistently to Then they turn aside with him and enter his house. He prepared a feast for them and included bread baked without yeast, and they ate it. God hates yeast, by the way. But Lot's right about this. They do need to come in. Sodom's a bad place. Before they could lie down and go to sleep, all the men, both young and old, from every part of the city of Sodom surrounded the house, and they shouted to Lot, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out so that we may have our way with them." Remember earlier the creation of the Nephilim? Well, this is the opposite of that. Instead of fallen angels raping human women, humans are now trying to rape angels. Furthermore, they are attempting to commit an act that God has already shown as a sin, one which actually takes its name from this city, sodomy. Lot went outside of them, shutting the door behind him, and said, "No, my brothers, do not act wickedly. I have 2 daughters and have never been with a man. Let me bring them out to you so that you can do whatever you please. Only don't do anything to these men, for they have come under my roof for protection." Now I know you're thinking, great parenting move, right? But this wasn't an attempt to prevent one kind of sin. I don't think I would have done it this way. But these guys are going to sin anyway, supposing they make it through that door. Just saying. Another interesting point here is that Lot knew who these people were and what they were into, and that they were not going to take this offer. So it may not have been offered sincerely. He may have been making fun of them for their orientation. "Out of our way," they cried. "This man came to live here as a foreigner, and now he dares to judge us. We'll do more than harm you and them." They kept pressing in until they were close enough to break the door down. Wow. So these people are xenophobic, racist, and homosexual. Their character just keeps building, doesn't it? If only they knew what was about to happen to them in their city because of their sin. So the men inside reached out and pulled back Lot into the house and shut the door. They then struck the men who were at the door of the house, from the youngest to the oldest, with blindness. The men outside wore themselves out trying to find the door. And then the 2 visitors said to Lot, "Who else do you have here? Do you have any sons-in-laws, sons, daughters, or other relatives in the city? Get them out of this place, because we are about to destroy it. The outcry came against this place so great before the Lord that he has sent us to destroy it." Imagine committing a terrible sin, being struck blind, and then over here God's going to destroy your city. But these guys came to save people, but not you because you're terrible. That should be a wake-up call. Then Lot went and spoke out to his sons-in-laws who were going to marry his daughters. He said, "Quick, get out of this place because the Lord's going to destroy the city." But the sons-in-laws thought he was ridiculing them. Remember Noah's neighbors making fun of him? These fools made fun of him. Now these guys were making fun of Lot. See, the guy on the side of the road preaching in his near, how do you respond to that? We have a lot of that in my city, and I'm very thankful to hear it. Who are you? Are you getting in the ark with Noah and running with Lot? Or are you waiting for your own destruction in your ignorance? At dawn, the angels hurried along, saying, "Get going. Take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, or else you will be destroyed when the city is judged." When Lot hesitated, the men grabbed his hand at the hands of his wife and 2 daughters because the Lord had compassion on them. They led them away and placed them outside the city. When they had brought them outside, they said, "Run for your lives, but do not look behind or stop anywhere in the valley. Escape to the mountains or you will be destroyed." But Lot said to them, "No, please, Lord, your servant has found favor with you, and you have shown great kindness by sparing my life. But I am not able to escape to the mountains because the disaster will overtake me and I'll die. Look, the town over here is close enough to escape to. It's just a little one. Let me go there. It's just a little place, isn't it? And then I'll survive." He's showing a lack of faith here, but don't judge him. You've done it. So have I. However, this will have consequences. "Very well," he replied. "I will grant this request too, and will not overthrow the town that you mentioned. Run there quickly, for I cannot do anything until you arrive there." This incident explains why the town is called Zoar. The sun had just risen over the land as Lot reached Zoar. Then the Lord rained down sulfur and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah, and it was sent down from the sky by the Lord, so that he overthrew those cities in that region, including all the inhabitants of the cities and all the vegetation that grew on the ground. Now, fun fact, scientists have discovered the location of these cities, and it appears that a meteor impact has occurred there. As one who believes God usually chooses to use physical means to create and carry out miracles, I find this very satisfying. Interestingly, the account of Jericho's walls falling was geographically sort of nearby and happened at the same time. It's presumable that God destroyed these two cities with an asteroid, and the shockwave from this was what blew down the walls of Jericho. God worked all this together at once. That's just a theory, though. So, back to the Bible. But Lot's wife looked back longingly and was turned into a pillar of salt. Abraham got up in the morning and went to the place where he had stood before the Lord. He looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah and all the land of that region, and he did so, and saw the smoke rising in the land like smoke from a furnace. She was told not to look at it. I can't explain this through standard means, and this was likely personally offensive to God, as he took extra action. I don't really have much to expand on there. So when God destroyed the city of the region, he honored Abraham's request. He removed Lot from the midst of the destruction when he destroyed the cities Lot had lived in. Lot went up from Zoar with his two daughters and settled in the mountains because he was afraid to live in Zoar. He had lived in a cave with his two daughters, so this is good, but be ready, it's about to take a sickening turn. However, it's important to note that these women did believe that their entire world had been destroyed and did not realize it was just two cities. Yeah, you know where this is going. Later, the older daughter said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there is no man anywhere nearby to have relations with, according to the way of our world. Come, let us make our father drunk with wine, so that we may have relations with him and preserve our family line through our father." So that night, they made their father drunk with wine, and the older daughter came in first, but the father was not aware that this had happened, and then he got up. That's disgusting. She got her father drunk and raped him. But it goes on. It's not done yet. So, in the morning, the older daughter said to the younger, "Since I had relations with my father last night, let's make him drunk again tonight, and you go in so that we can both preserve our family line through our father." So they made their father drunk that night as well, and the younger one came and had relations with him, and he was not aware of this either. He is a heavy drinker. And then he got up. Now, they're both guilty of this sin, saved from a sinful city, and then they do this as soon as they're safe, without even missing a beat. In this way, Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father. The older daughter gave birth to a son and named him Moab. He is the ancestor of the Moabites today. And the younger daughter also gave birth to a son, named him Ben-Ami, who is the ancestor of the Ammonites today. Moab basically means from our father, and Ben-Ami means son of our people. Both names reference what these wicked and confused women chose to do. So that's it for chapter 19. I'll be starting up in chapter 20 in the next video. Make sure you like and subscribe so that you'll be notified when that video comes out. It should be less disgusting.